This is my first Father's Day since my dad passed away, so I'm going to try my best to tell a couple stories about my dad. My dad's favorite color is blue. He always had blue shoes, blue shirts, blue sunglasses. For a time, he drove a blue sports car, and the only alcohol he liked was Blue Moon. My dad would work during the week, and during the weekend, he would take me out and give my mom a break. Sometimes we would drive to McDonald's nearby and get breakfast, beginning my love for breakfast, especially breakfast with Dad. Sometimes he would take me on bike rides. He had a kid seat strapped to the back of his bike, and I only think I remember him crashing with me on board once. Sometimes we would go to cool museums, sometimes car conventions. Once we went to the Ice Castle in Minneapolis, and it was always something new and amazing. When we were driving from place to place and stopped for gas, I would ask my dad for some M&Ms as a road snack. He would get a Snickers, and we would get 2 Gatorades, one red and one blue. He would eat his Snickers quite quick, and not long after, I would see his hand stretch over the back of the seat, and he would ask for a couple. I'd pick through the bag of M&Ms and select only the blue chocolates and hand over his share. The blue ones are for Dad. My dad loved his friends and meeting new people. On our last adventure together, we went on a cruise to Alaska. On the cruise, my dad talked to everyone and made friends all over the boat. At the time, I was a bit frustrated with Dad. It felt like he wanted to talk to everyone besides me. Dad even made friends with our room attendant, a very nice guy who did a great job. Dad and I went to Skagway and rode bikes to see the salmon run downstream. We went to Ketchikan where we rode motorcycles to see the glaciers and mountains. And we stopped in British Columbia. But the most interesting thing there was the English money that felt like plastic. In the middle of the trip, we were relaxing in the room, and I decided to start checking out what was in the different drawers. In one drawer next to our sliding door, I found things from people's trips from 2019 and 2017. Next to the drawer, hidden behind the curtain, I found a pizza box. The receipt on the pizza box said 2017. I didn't have the courage to even look at the pizza. Dad did, and said it looked like a black lump. We called a room attendant to take the trash away, and he couldn't believe it was hidden back there for so long. We could tell that he was worried and that he might get in trouble for not noticing it, but we knew it was hidden well, and it was an honest mistake, not his fault. My dad called the floor manager to explain the situation and told them not to bother or blame our room attendant. Later on, our room attendant and floor manager came down to apologize for the gross pizza box and brought us a bottle of champagne. Dad was so excited about it. He asked for a champagne bucket with ice so we can keep it cold. But we ended up taking it to our last big dinner on the boat. My dad didn't drink a lot, and that was the only time that me and my dad ever shared a drink together. This is my last story for today. When I was a little guy, my parents would introduce me to skiing and snowboarding. When I was learning to ski, my dad would hold me in front of him by my jacket between his skis, and we would ride together so that I wouldn't get away from him and go flying down the mountain into a tree or something. This usually worked just fine. They make harnesses so that people can do this a bit more professionally with their kids. But this time, things took a turn for the unexpected. I couldn't tell you what happened that started this, but one minute we were skiing down the mountain and everything was okay, and then the next I started sinking behind him under his legs. He must have been trying to save me and lost his balance, and before we knew it, both of us were rolling down the mountain like a giant snowball. Our skis and poles went flying, and after a couple tumbles and slides, we finally came to a stop. I was under my dad, and to me, he was like a giant, immovable boulder. He rolled off of me, and I swear the first thing I remember him saying to me was, "Why did you do that?" And then I remember just being in shock and not knowing what to say. We were all okay, and it took us just a couple minutes to get ourselves pulled back together, and we were back at it. I would tell the story again and again throughout my life, thinking it was my dad that lost control of me and caused the crash. I thought it was a funny example of how my dad could be sometimes. Then, one time when I was telling the story, he was there, and I finally got his side of the story. From his perspective, I started losing control and was about to fall, and he was trying to do everything that he could to keep me safe. He wasn't trying to land on me. He was trying to make sure I didn't get hurt. He said that he remembered being super worried about that crash when it happened, and was very relieved when we were all okay. That's how Dad could be. In his heart, he loved us, and he wanted us safe, taken care of, and inspired. Generally, that's how my dad would tell a story, by telling you 2 or 3 stories. Sometimes they were related, sometimes not. But that's how his brain worked. and in ways how mine works too. Happy Father's Day, Dad. I miss you, and I love you.